Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To speak on the bill.
Proceed, gentleman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think we could do with a little more in the way of factual analysis and a little bit less in the way of temperature. Mr. Speaker, every good lawyer knows that when the facts are on your side, you argue the facts, and when the facts are not on your side, you argue the law, and when you don't have the facts or the law, you argue the personalities. Let's stick with the facts. The facts are these, Mr. Speaker. If we spend approximately $50 million of state revenue, we'll draw down approximately $100 million of federal money, which is our money that we have sent to Washington, D.C., that otherwise we don't get, that another state gets, in order to provide health care for those in this state who need it. So if we don't spend $50 million to get that $100 million, then we wind up paying for that health care anyway, in the emergency room, for its full price, instead of getting our tax dollars back from Washington to help pay for it. So in other words, we spend 3 times as much money. That, in a nutshell, is the debate we've been having for the last few years. And the other side of the aisle has said we just can't afford that $50 million. We just can't afford to spend that extra state money. It's too tight. And, Mr. Speaker, we've agreed to disagree on that. And we've had that fight over the past few years. And some seats have changed hands in this body, and we have a new governor, and that's been part of the debate. But then 2 things happened this year that changed the debate. The first thing that happened was that our federal government made more stimulus money available with the express intent that it be spent to provide health care for those who need it. That's why the numbers are as I characterized them. And then the second thing that happened was that our hospitals and our business community and everyone out there who's away from the temperature, everyone out there who's away from the politics, everyone out there who doesn't have an axe to grind has come and universally said, we need our money back from Washington. We need our $100 million. We need to be doing this with help instead of paying for the health care in the most expensive way possible in the emergency room, all on the state's dime. How badly do we need it, they said? Badly enough that the hospitals themselves are willing to come up with the $50 million. The hospitals themselves asked us to do it, and when we said we couldn't with the state dollars, they said, we will provide those dollars. In other words, for $0 in state general revenue, give or take a little bit. You heard the technical debate with the gentleman from St. Louis County, the budget chair, about what it really means in the out years. But the bottom line is, give or take, whatever that FRA tax actually brings in, at essentially no cost to us, we can get that $100 million of our tax revenue back from the federal government that would otherwise go to another state while we would continue to pay the full cost of health care. Those are the facts. The facts are not just that people need to be taken care of out there, not just that it's our moral responsibility to do this, not just that it's sensible public policy because it brings down costs, as the gentleman from Clay wants us to do. The facts are that everyone, including traditional allies of this side of the aisle and traditional allies of that side of the aisle, like all of the major business organizations and healthcare organizations in this state, ask that we do it, is because the numbers are so clear. Because, Mr. Speaker, the public policy is easy here. It is crystal clear. The only possible reason not to do it is if you don't like the governor. The only possible reason not to do it is if you're so determined to make a political point. If you're so scared that people will think you're saying you were wrong 3 years ago. You're so scared that it'll be used against you in an election someday that you feel like you have to dig that hole in the ground and stand there and not move. So I understand why people want to attack the governor. And I understand why people want to make it about personality. And I understand why people want to make dangerous accusations that don't belong on this House floor. Because if they stuck to the facts, they would realize that they were wrong, and they would realize that the overwhelming public sentiment is against them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Further discussion? Gentlemen.